on devotion, so turn it up, lean in, let the real talk begin. Mr. Real's podcast, let's roll right in.
Welcome to Mr. Wheel's podcast. Tonight, I do have a special guest by the name of Damian Wildfong, known as what?
Dislabeled Dolly Diva. Officially,
Alright,
almost.
that's awesome. Tonight's episode regarding to the violence against the disabled community, we're going to be talking about the most recent one that happened in Oklahoma, and we're going to talk to you different stats regarding to the violence, and see how we can come up with a way to overcome it.
You need legislation to overcome it, and me. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but if you hear Ryan coughing, he's on meds. He's on meds, people. Not the kind of meds you think it is.
Yeah, that's the thing with me. I got disability. I just recently got diagnosed with, unfortunately, asthma. And getting old really fucks with you sometimes.
Yeah, we have multiple disabilities, both of us, and we're dealing with something that's little talked about called post-impairment syndrome. As you age with cerebral palsy specifically, you have functional decline that you weren't anticipating. No one anticipates getting older, but we age. Our bodies age at a much faster rate than others. So
yeah.
yeah.
According to what I read, is person with cerebral palsy typically age about a year and a half faster than a regular person based on the bone structure and how you walk and so on.
We've also, our bones are, we've had lots of surgeries, and our bones end up kind of, even though it's normal to us, they end up with sort of certain deformities. Because of the contracture with cerebral palsy, it really does make your bones do weird things as you age.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I get spasms and everything, and so
yeah.
that's one of the worst things. Basically, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the different parts of regarding of safety, violence, and the freedom and the civil rights of the disabled people. The first segment was going to be talking about the horrifying attack on a man that was using a wheelchair in Oklahoma, and within the same topic, if we can be showing the statistics of showing that disabled people face a violent crime at a much higher rate than non-disabled persons. In the second segment, we got into the breakdown of the new congressional response to the attack on Olmsted decision and explaining why Section 504 protections is matter to every disabled person. So what do you think about what's going on in 504 protections? What is your take on it?
Well, up until recently, I worked every day helping students and parents obtain their 504 rights. I actually started my own business known as Disabled Dollar Diva, but that's for another day. And a lot of people don't even understand what 504 is and what it does for them. How reorganization of Section 504, or the attempted reorganization of the Department of Education and Section 504, how that would even impact them. Because it's too abstract for them. They don't understand their rights, and I think politicians count on that. They really count on that. And they count on these things being abstract, so therefore they don't really matter. But they are constantly chipping away at our civil rights, disability rights, our civil rights. That's important to keep in mind. And actually, it's not special treatment. It is the law. And Section 504 was the precursor to the ADA and the first sweeping legislation that disabled activists basically fought and almost died for. And in fact, they historically did die before 504
Yeah,
protected
yeah,
the
because it
country.
started in California back in 1973. They
There are
were doing it.
there are two important protections that Section 504 provides us. One is to be cared for in our own homes or in the community whenever possible. And two, it says that disabled people or disabled students have a right to a free and fair appropriate education. That's more under the IDEA addendum, but 504 was the first legislation that stated, hey, they need to not only be educated, but educated in their community schools. So therefore, bathrooms have to be accessible. It was the first legislation that actually made bathrooms and people in buildings that accept federal money to be accessible. And so Section 504 and them trying to repeal it or reform it, it's a slippery slope. So, but like I said to you before on the last podcast, people have wrong discussions about this. They're not repealing the entirety of Section 504. That would be political suicide.
Hmm.
Um, what what they're trying to do with the DOJ opinion, and that's all it is at this point. But it's maybe a precursor to what's gonna come down the pike. So, that they are trying to state that it's their opinion, the Supreme Court's opinion, that disabled people don't have to be cared for in their own homes, and they don't have a right to be cared for in the community, which is very concerning. Is it law
Well, I
yet?
mean,
No.
yeah. No, to make it very clear, this kind of thing has not been passed yet. That's I'm going to
It's
make
just
that
a
very clear for those who
formal
are listening.
opinion. It's just a
Yeah, the
formalized
opinion.
opinion. What people, YouTubers and everything like that, I'm a YouTuber myself, and sometimes I say things wrong, but they're acting as if the thing is already done and over with, and that's not the case. We need to have an educated but frank discussion about it. But it is true that disability history is erased, and nobody likes civics. They don't want to learn actual civics, so they discuss it with a lot of emotion, and we need to stick with the facts.
So you got to remember, people typically will react. They're very fast at even talking about it, and that's where I have a problem. You're right. It has not been passed, but yet we have a politicians right now are talking about doing it. Okay, that's the viewpoint I have regarding to it. Yes, it may not have been passed yet, but yet the very fact we have politicians are not looking after the marginalized or the vulnerable. I'm speaking on behalf for a lot of handicapped people who don't have the capabilities to defend itself or speak up.
Well, I mean, I learned a long time ago that since I have a big mouth, sometimes I'm going to speak for people that I know in the community that don't. Like, my friend Colleen wants to speak for her experience, but she has quadriplegic cerebral palsy and lives in a group home in the Lansing, Michigan area. Um, and there are a lot of things that go on in that group home that are just abhorrent and horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, namely, and I don't want to speak for her life. I haven't been updated on it in a long time, but namely, she has horrible looking tattoos that are like stick drawn figures because, like, let's say a nurse's boyfriend that worked at the group home, but the boyfriend would come over he like practiced on her to tattoo. He practiced
Dude,
on her to
that's
tattoo.
abuse. Flat
So
out
things
abuse.
and she showed me the tattoo, and it's like looks horrible, and I didn't want to tell her that, but like it does. So things go on in group homes that you wouldn't even think about because people are privileged enough not to have to think about it. But and I think people wrongly criticize disabled people sometimes for speaking on things that they're not readily experiencing. What you don't know about the disabled community is we've been exposed to different forms of disability our entire lives. I've been around other disabled people my entire life. So I've seen things that bad that happen to other disabled people just because we're lumped in the same room, on the same bus, in the same category. So I've seen abuses that you might not even think about. And I understand the system in a way, and you might not even think
Yeah.
about that. So, um, and people, what I've learned in my work is people have a misconception. It's almost like a secondary form of ableism or ableist thought they have a misconception that everyone has the best interests of a disabled person at heart, and that you have to be really evil to commit the things that I'm saying, and that's not true. That's not true. You don't have to be really evil. You can just be slightly negligent and hurt disabled
Yeah.
people,
It
or
can. Yeah.
slightly not want to do your job, or not show up. You don't have to be this evil doer, this boogeyman that comes and like slaps a disabled person in the face. It's not. It's all these little microaggressions that build up to bad treatment a lot of the time. And like you were saying, as these things continue to happen, it gets normalized and more normalized and more normalized to treat us like shit.
There's a valid question that I wrote down here. What does it say about our country when the disabled people must fight both physical violence and political efforts that could push us out into public life altogether?
For basic needs, we've been screaming about basic decency for 50 some odd years, as long as I've been alive. We've been fighting for basic decency. And yes, we've come a long way. But then it always seems that we get, every time we take 2 steps forward, it's 10 steps back, you know? And now that there's a reaction economy, I'm reacting to the OSED opinion. But now that there's a reaction economy, it's like almost we reverted back to not having decorum, social decorum, or human decency. That, and I do believe, let me not be ableist here, there's a lot of undiagnosed autism and a lot of undiagnosed ADHD, and a lot of impulse control disorder that has never been diagnosed. So people, one of the reasons why reaction channels are so popular, and it's disaffected the disabled community, is because of ableism. It's so weird, and like lack of care. And like if you try to tell people that like, oh, this policy is in place or this trend is in place because of ableism in society, like they don't even know what you're talking about. Like if you have a qualified theory because they don't even know what you're talking about. And then it just becomes educating the populace is exhausting. Like, let me tell you all the ways in which you fail as a human being. You fail disabled people as a human being. It's not a popular discussion, which is why a lot of things do not get addressed. Because people always ask, well, why that? Why is that? Why is that? Why is that? And here's the bottom line, people. In order to address ableism and ableist policies, truly address that, they would have to start believing in their own demise. and believing in the fact that things aren't perfect and your body is going to fail you and you are going to die. So it has to do with people's inability, at least socially, and it impacts policy, that, hey, in real time, here's this person whose life isn't perfect, and they have a difference, and I don't want to look at that difference. I don't want to address that difference. I don't want to give that person with that difference services unless it's
Right.
going to
Right.
benefit me through looking like I'm taking care of someone I should pity, which is not equality. So there's all of this like social moray that happens surrounding actual disability policy. And because of that, we don't get real policy, or every time we do, it just there's 100 steps forwards, and then or 2 steps forwards and 100 steps back. I hope that makes sense. And it's rather exhausting as a disabled person to understand, to explain all of the social stuff, let alone all the structural stuff, let alone all the emotional stuff that goes into ableism.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm going to go on. You know about the story about the guy on the wheelchair that got lit up with a Molotov thing
Yeah,
out in
I mean,
Oklahoma.
again, not to use ableist language, but that was just crazy to me. But I've heard of that type of abuse, and I've actually been subjected to not that abuse, but uh, styles of abuse in that way. And so it's not surprising to me. I had to educate myself about it. It
Yeah, it
happened
happened July 2nd of this month, a couple of weeks ago,
July
15
2nd. It's
days. Yeah.
Disability Pride Month, y'all. It's Disability Pride Month, of course. And
Yeah.
people don't even understand that. They think it's, LGBTQ or something like that. And it's like, they don't understand. It can intersect.
Yeah, it definitely intersect for sure. That's
But
for sure. It does.
it's for a completely different reason. So like, but people are just, they're just basic and they don't understand nuance. I'm a little jaded. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even understand that went on. And you and I were talking before the broadcast that, this entire thing could have been avoided because uh this this person that threw the Molotov cocktail at the person in the wheelchair, or the wheelchair user, was also disabled and profoundly mentally ill and probably schizophrenic, and probably was in the situation because he wasn't receiving proper care. So
That's the thing. Is a double-edged sword. You have two disabled people, one with a mental disability, and you
Mhm.
have another one that's a physical disability. It happens, unfortunately. It's a terrible thing. That's why the state, specifically in the red states in Florida and everything, they don't take mental health illness as a very serious problem.
No,
You know what
because
I'm saying?
they also take it as the charity model of disability. Like there's these organizations that are magically going to occur, and we're going to magically solve the problem because all these churches and all these organizations will just come and solve the problem. They have no idea what they're talking about. They want to use charity care as a way to virtue signal about the whole thing and look good socially. That's their whole thing. And it doesn't work. Charity care worked when we didn't have anything else. And now that
I
we
mean,
do,
that's the thing is the good the good news is the guy survived. He does have a burn pretty much 50% of his body, uh, which is
can we
horrible.
just say his actual name? Yeah, say his name.
No, yeah, I don't know his name. Unfortunately, didn't die. They identified the perpetrator as Alexander Emery. He was arrested on the scene, and he's facing multiple felony accusations, including the first-degree arson or assault with intent to kill, assault with a deadly weapon, manufacturing explosive devices, and injuring another person with explosive. And these remain allegations unless proven in the court, of course.
And is the allegation also a hate crime?
I don't think it really falls for that, to be honest.
They probably are going to argue that the mentally ill man, his
As a defense, yeah.
his manifestation of his disability made it so that he didn't understand what he was doing. So it's not really a hate crime. I answered my own question because I'm well aware of the lingo. And may I say, I'm not a lawyer, and we are not giving mental health advice or professional criminal advice or anything like that.
I mean, it also says here that they do not have any evidence of establishing that the victim was selected specifically because of disability.
Well, also, though, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, if something occurs because of the manifestation of a disability, courts have provisions for that, and they don't necessarily. His attorney will probably argue manifestation.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It does affect the community itself.
The stereotype that people lean into because you already have that feeling about a disabled person, so it's just gonna give them an excuse to, just lean into the stereotype that they feel, and they don't understand what the real problem is. And the real problem is that policy made that situation a reality.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately.
This kind of goes on with the same story regarding to of a man in a wheelchair trying to go do something, go hang out with a friend, and here we are. We have this kind of violence because the individual person minding his own business. We have to be vigilant of where we at. We have to look at where we're going. Make sure they're going to be safe. It's a horrible way of living.
Yeah, and I mean, I've sort of felt this way with public violence. I've felt this way since I've told people I've felt this way since 9/11, but really we do like check the exits, and people have like PTSD over mass shootings in general, which again speaks to lack of mental health care. Lack of people that have homicidal and suicidal ideation. There's lack of mental health care that is really like proliferated around the country. And it's like, well, there's no money in it, so they're really not going to do anything, so we're all sitting ducks at sacrificial lambs. Not to be morbid, and you have to live your life and everything like that, but I know for a fact that I would probably not survive a mass shooting. So I've literally changed the way I live my life and my activity level. I get a lot of deliveries, not only because it's just conducive to my disability to get deliveries, but it's also
100%.
It's also like, I'm not going to be in the grocery store when it gets, you know what I'm saying? When something goes down. And unfortunately, that's why I stopped going to disability rights protests. I was very active in my 20s, going to protests and events. I no longer do that because I don't feel like I could get away if somebody starts throwing things or, the cops use tear gas and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I no longer do that level of protest. Because of that.
On the same topic here, according to the Bureau of Justice statistics from 2017 to 2019, disabled people made about 12% of the U.S. population, and age 12 or older living outside of institutions, but they were victim about 26% of a non-fatal violent crime. 26%. And also, they are overrepresentative among the victims of violence altogether.
we're
and
we're statistically more likely to become the victim of a violent crime. Specifically, disabled women are statistically more likely to be a vulnerable population for partner-on-partner violence. I don't know the exact statistics on that. uh, so
I get the stat right here. It says here the violent victimization rate for people with disabilities was 46.2 per 1,000 people, compared to the 12.3 per 1,000 people without
yeah.
disability. I mean, that's 4 times of the chance of a
Again,
victim of violence.
I'm gonna push back on you a little bit here. I think people can quote statistics and they don't really understand what that means for real life. Or but it's important too not to have the bigotry of lowered expectation that every woman that's disabled in a in a relationship is automatically being abused or something like that. That's not what we're saying at all. It's
Yeah, of
just
course
the
not. Yeah.
statistics don't lie. You know,
Hmm.
I kind of think that like talking heads talking about statistics all the time forget that people they're talking about are people and there's humanity.
There should be a balance of the two. We have to have
You
the
can get
balance of the
into
numbers
the
and the
bigotry of lowered
humanity part of it.
you can get into the bigotry of lowered expectation by reading statistics and believing that all disabled people are like that, and that's not, or all disabled people are experiencing that, and that's not necessarily true. But I know in my own life, unfortunately, I had child abuse at the hands of my stepfather, and I do believe that he targeted my mother because she was a single mother.
My Back in 98, 99, I can't remember exactly. I was probably about 18 or 19 at the time. Me and a couple of friends went out bowling. It was like around midnight when everything ended. We went there. I don't know. I got hit in the back of the head with a tire iron, knocked
Yeah.
me down. I was on the ground. I got 4 broken ribs, got kicked, blood in your nose,
Oh
broken
my God.
ribs. Yeah,
Oh, I
random.
didn't.
Just completely random.
I think that. And so, did you prosecute that person? My God, I didn't even
No,
know that was
no, they ran off. I couldn't remember what the guy looked like. I couldn't point him out.
really. I'm
Yeah,
sorry that happened to you. Yeah, I mean, I think I've told you I've had a couple of weird incidents, and then I had an incident where someone actually hit me. And I didn't when when this happens to you as a disabled person, many times you're alone because they don't do it in front of people. It's not like they say, "Hey, I'm gonna go hit this person." They do it when you're alone or nobody is noticing. So by the time you are reporting it and going, "Hey, somebody just did this
yeah,
to me," they're like, "What? What?" Because there's people are so distracted by your physicality when you're explaining something, they do not listen to you. It's a hidden it's a hidden level of ableism. It's like I could walk up to a store clerk and go, "Hey, this person just stole my purse and just hit me in the head." And they would be like, "What? I didn't what? What happened?" Because they can't even believe a person on crutches or in a wheelchair is speaking to them. So they have this cognitive dissonance. Have you experienced that?
being in a wheelchair, especially when I was dating somebody, my ex fiance, I would be let down upon. They'd be instead of referring to me, they'd be talking to her.
When you're even talking about anything, people
Like
automatically
speaking,
think
you mean speaking up? Yeah.
they don't believe you about anything.
No,
Least of
no.
all, a crime that just occurred and you're just trying to report it to them. I've had I've had that happen to me. I've absolutely had that happen to me. Where they have this moment where they think you're mentally ill or mentally, and they do not react with the same care that they would a seemingly able-bodied person.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
even describe it, and you don't even know what the feeling is until you've experienced it. One incident stands out in my mind. and I'm gonna put this lady on blast, man, because, and it's just like when you have something like that happen to you, you first of all doubt it. You're like, wait a minute, did this person really do this on purpose? And then, in
Yeah.
fact, yes, they did. In fact, yes, they did. And in fact, because of bigotry in society, they know they can get away with it, or they're going to take a risk that they'll get away with it. I was, um, someday I want to do a whole talk about, disabled dating and how disabled people, non-disabled people, or I say
Yeah.
seemingly non-disabled people all the time because I cannot tell if somebody has an invisible disability, and I don't want to discount that. Also, you can become disabled at any time. So, so I say seemingly non-disabled
Well, I
people.
mean, we
Well,
are the group that where anything can happen to make you disabled,
yeah,
being part of the
yeah,
community.
but
I mean,
but
the way I look at this is like, this is a quote I've read from somebody. It says here, when disabled people say that we feel vulnerable in public, we are not being dramatic.
yeah,
We are reading the room, we're reading the sidewalk, and we
yes,
are reading the emergency exits. We are reading the history of how this country treats the disabled people.
yeah. And
And
Kristen, and
that is exactly what I do. Whenever I go into a public arena, I look for that kind of things.
yeah.
Where can I find the
And
exit?
I don't think that able-bodied people, it's called privilege because they've never had to really think about it. I don't think that able-bodied people understand the level of mental gymnastics we have to go through when we go into a public place or a public restroom or talk to a person in public or any. We have to go through. We've already mapped out what's going to happen. How we're already like scanning the room. We make a mental map of wherever we are because we have to. It's a matter of survival, you know, and and I don't think that people really understand that. Maybe I want to do a podcast eventually about disabled dating and the social currency that seemingly able-bodied people believe is theirs. So when you're quote unquote competing with them, which I'm not competing with anybody, but that's what they think. When you're competing with them for someone else's attention or affection, they don't believe that you have the right to do that subconsciously. So they make
Right,
up
right, right.
reasons to dislike you. And it's not abstract. It really happens, especially among women. I call it the secret war. Uh, and uh, and so that's generally what happened with this person. Or I haven't talked to her about it. Like, it's not like I turned around and said, "Hey, bitch, why'd you hit me?" Because
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
time, I just wanted to get out of the situation because it was in a doorway and I didn't want to get injured. And at the time, a lot of, oh, this makes me so mad because when you're recounting these stories, first of all, people want to verify that these things actually happen to disabled people because they don't believe you. And secondly, it's like they're trying to poke holes in the story you're telling.
It's kind of like when women came out, like able-bodied women, reported rape. It's just the same thing. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't blame the women.
It's similar. It's similar because
Very similar. Yeah.
they have a cognitive dissonance and a moment of disbelief. And so in this particular circumstance, I was going into a tavern. I was a regular at. I was not drunk. I was arriving there. Um, and this person um that was also a regular um that did not like me because there's a whole narrative there that I won't get into, but basically her boyfriend and a person that I was dating at the time was having beef. And so because I was dating this person, he told me, "Oh, the guy punched me in the face." And I was like, I didn't like her boyfriend because he punched my man in the face. Like, like he
Yeah.
punched my man
Yeah.
in the face. So I went up to her when she was being rude to me, and I was like trying to be like, Joe, your man is an animal. He punched my man in the face,
Yeah.
I was commenting on it. And that's all that happened. It wasn't, I wanted to acknowledge, like, I don't like you, and
Right.
it's not
Right.
drama, it's not anything. So, but what happened subsequently, a couple weeks after that, I must have embarrassed her in public or something, because I was going into the door, I was in front of her, she was in back of me. It was a dark doorway. So I just thought we would go through the door and be civil. She I was in front of her. She shoved me and hit me with her fist in the back because she knew that she wouldn't get caught because we were just happened to be in the doorway at the same time and nobody was there and it was dark. So nobody
Right.
would see what she
Right.
was doing. So she took her opportunity to abuse me. And I was like so dumbfounded. I didn't even know that it happened. And then I was trying to rationalize it in my own brain. And then I realized if I turn around and hit this bitch with my crutch, like it's gonna go down and I can't afford that. So I just continued through the door. And then she acted like nothing happened. But I know it wasn't the door that hit me. It was her fist in my back.
Right. Right.
And
I
and
mean, kind of got back on where we originally talking about. It's like when the alarming numbers that we have right now regarding to the cognitive disabilities for the highest violent victimization rate among the disability types, but it's measured up to 83.3 per 1,000 persons. And that's a high amount of violence victims. 83.3 per 1,000. Fucking crazy. And because of the cognitive disability, it often plays in systems where they may have to depend on other people for care. Transportation, communication, and medication on their daily survival for a lot of them. So, I mean, like for instance, if a woman that has a male caregiver, okay, I mean, I'm sure that happens quite a bit. But the thing is, people that are in that mindset are not going to be able to speak up again because of it would be chastised or be punished if they say anything.
as a vulnerable adult.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Again, I don't want to speak on this situation because I don't really know. I don't want to put someone's private information out, but I do, where I can, help out my friends that are experiencing trauma based on their lack of care. I try to get them help and offer mutual community aid. And I know of another situation in Michigan where, a friend of mine is safe. She's got a roof over her head and she's being fed, but her family member that is caregiving for her because she's a nurse is resentful of her and is like placing all this childhood trauma and drama off on her. And at that point a responsible caregiver would say, I can't really care for this person objectively. I'm too subjective, so I have to hire care. But no, she's stealing her SSI allegedly, and also like verbally abusing her on a daily basis. They hold us like accountable for like stuff that isn't even within range of us to fix. There's nothing that we can do about this situation. And then we get like, socially shamed and really
Or just flat out don't believe you, or you're being
yeah,
dramatic, or
yeah.
you're taking it out of context, or that kind of bullshit thing
And
they always come up with.
well, that's what this allegedly, that's what this
Hmm.
woman is doing to her sister. She's saying, well, you're not really all that disabled. I don't know why I should have to take care of you. Well, meanwhile, she's stealing her SSI,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
withholding food and all kinds of stuff. So I am intervening in that situation, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Go in guns a-blazing, like, we're going to really take care of this. What does that
Yeah,
mean? That means her only home that she can live in is gone, and her only caregiver that she has a
yeah,
restraining order against her. That's
yeah,
good, but where the
yeah,
hell is she going to go?
yeah.
A
I mean,
facility.
there's a stat I just read recently. It's pretty interesting that the Bureau of Justice Stats found that 38% of violent crimes against a disability were reported to the police, compared to the 45% of violent crimes against people who without disability.
Mm-hmm. And it can culminate. It doesn't have to be someone punching you in the back. It can come and they don't show up.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's happened to countless numbers of my friends. And that phenomena within the home care setting, as wonderful as it is to be cared for at home, there's problems in that scenario as
Oh
well.
yeah, tremendously, tremendously. Yeah. I mean,
So
right now, only 19% of rapes are being sexual assaults against a disability was reported as of last year, compared to the 36% people without disability.
yeah,
The lowest percentage wise for the disabled person to speak about their victim or the rape experience that they went through. And
statistically, the risk for us is greater. We have
yeah,
a lot more to lose.
yeah,
And
we do.
let me just say too, when you're being cared for, you build supports around a person like an able-bodied person doesn't have to. It's the number one reason why I don't live with a domestic partner.
I can give you an example of my life. I was supposed to get married with a girl, Angel, and we moved in together for 10 days.
I'm sorry, but never trust a stripper named Angel. I said what I said.
Shut up. Hey, it was a lot of fun. Hey, it was a lot of fun. Okay, it was fun. But
Well,
anyways, no, we moved in together for 10 days. 6 out of the 10 days, I did not have a bath. She was gone the whole time.
so why didn't you charge her with a crime? I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
I decided to just say fuck it, move back home.
When I recounted that story, people were like, "Well, why didn't you just turn around and like have someone call the cops?" Because you're just trying to get out of the situation and keep yourself safe. That's why, you know. And it's a form of victim blaming. So I don't mean to do that. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, according to the FBI Justice Department, this is referred to specifically for hate crimes. They, for instance, reported 11,679 hate crimes incidents involving over 14,243 victims in 2024. I mean, it's just the numbers are pretty high right now. And basically, in a single bias hate crime incidents, disability bias accounted for 1.3% of the victims. But there has to be a kind of context. Hate crimes numbers only capture the crimes that are recognized and reported, investigated, and recorded as biased motivation. The problem is a small thing because we are a smaller population in the United States. So if you look at the numbers, obviously the numbers are going to be higher and lower, but you have to go through the per capita as well.
And I know sometimes that when people are being interviewed about these things, they don't think of themselves as a victim. And may I say, it's popular to be like, "Don't have that victim mentality," blah blah blah. And it's like, no, stating what actually happens to you is not having a victim mentality. That's, so let's get that narrative out there. Stating what actually occurs in your life that's negative is not having a victim mentality. It's simply straight facts. And
We want people to understand that disabled people are not asking for any kind of pity or any of that kind of thing at all. We're asking for public safety, includes us. Include us for any decisions that will affect us. Because if you look at the accessibility, it plays a big part of it as well. Because without accessibility, we won't be safe. we can be in danger because there's a couple roads in my area where the sidewalk is not there, so we have to go on the road, and that's not safe at all.
Thank
So
you.
that itself can be a crime
Well, it's a violation of Title II
victimization.
that we do
What's that?
in the greater area of Tampa violates Title II every single day. And I've been
100%.
researching. I have a whole part of my organization that I want to do. I have a lot of ideas, and so I started an LLC to encompass all of them, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll see how that goes. But accessibility for all is what I'm aiming for, and I've been researching the Tampa Sidewalk Fund, which is it's just basically a cash cow for people to
Yeah.
pillage, but that's another story. Essentially, I don't want to say the exact numbers because I don't want to say something wrong, but essentially it costs less money for the developer not to make sure the sidewalk is built than to build the sidewalk. The penalty is much less money than what it costs to complete the sidewalk. And
Right.
Tampa has a corrupt, incorrect way of thinking that developers will complete their projects for them, and that's incorrect. They should only be responsible partially, not like Tampa has a pie in the sky way of looking at infrastructure projects. They think that, oh, the developer is going to come in here, and they probably do oversell it to them. Like, I'm just going to fix everything in 2 square miles around my business, and they don't.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean,
then,
the thing is that people do, you and I at least I do, for me being a wheelchair user, when you leave the building, when you leave your apartment, do you figure out, say, okay, is there going to be a sidewalk? Is there going to be a curb cut? Is there
yeah,
going to be elevators or any accessibility bathrooms and working doors? That's what I think about when I leave my house.
it's one of the reasons why I live where I live now, because at least within a square mile around my apartment, there I can roll to coffee. I can roll to a restaurant. I can if I wanted to, and if I wanted to put myself in danger, I could roll to the grocery store if I needed to. I get grocery delivery for that reason, but
I do too, yeah.
so like these are things that seemingly able-bodied people don't have to think about on a regular basis. And frankly, I didn't think about it a lot until I became more of a wheelchair user. But that's odd to say, but it's true until you're actually using it and realizing that the infrastructure is just not there. It's crazy that
It's horrific, yeah.
talking about that stuff. We're still talking about access.
In 2026.
A structural standpoint. And I just had no idea how corrupt Tampa is in this regard. They use FDOT funds, sidewalk funds, as a slush fund, basically. And
The public needs to understand that vulnerability is often created by the environment. When I leave the house, I'm figuring out, am I gonna go? Is my battery full charge? Am I able to go and park somewhere? My biggest problem in my apartment right now, and this is my personal experience, there's only 5 handicap spots out of 200 parking spots, and I live in a retirement building, so 90% of the people here have a handicap parking placard. So we fight about all the 5 parking spots. But unfortunately, because I drive a van that opens a ramp on the side of the van, I have to take up 2 parking spots for me to get out. And they won't do anything about it. And they are within the law. They're within the law of it.
They want us to be satisfied with the bare minimum. That's all they want, because
it's bare minimum. It's all it is. Yeah.
They believe in charity care. because charity care makes them look good.
Yeah,
That's all they
100%.
do. I hate to put it like that, and it's not everybody, but and charity care model, and not the social model is what we need. Charity care begets gaps in policy and really harms people. And I'm sick of being grateful for it. I'm sick of being grateful for Easter Seals because they were the only organization that gave a damn back in the day. We don't live back in the day anymore, okay? I've thanked them enough. I used to volunteer for them. like it's time to bring our needs to 2026.
Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of bring in, for those who are listening, either now or listening the recording, my question for them, this is a question I want them to answer. Did this story make you feel angry about what we're talking about, frightened, numb, or something else? Because a lot of people don't hear or understand where we're coming from.
A lot of people come back to me and they recount some weird story about how their elderly mother, and they ignored her or they treated her like crap. And it's like, she said, I had no idea what you're dealing with. I had no idea what you were dealing
Yeah.
with. And it's like, yeah, that's what I'm freaking trying to tell you, like just, and it's microaggressions and it's macroaggressions. And people think it's just social or just structural or just institutional. And it's all three things working. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I mean, it's hate crimes based on race and still go on, but it's less socially, thank God, it's less socially acceptable to just, be racist. People know what that is when you're being
Yeah.
racist, and they will
Yeah.
call you out
Yeah.
on it, and there's a problem, as it should be.
Yeah, of
However,
course.
they don't even know what ableism is. So when
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah, a lot of
ableist,
people don't know. Yeah.
they don't have this social, there's not the social currency. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be social currency for racism. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying people, there's a definitely, due to the 400 years of history, there is at least a reference point for people.
Hmm.
Racism is bad.
I mean, it kind
You know,
of kind of
nobody
go
knows
on.
this to say it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I think, have you noticed that? Okay, when emergency happens, if you were in a hotel room and you happen to be on the third floor, as a handicapped person, and when there was a fire, we cannot use the elevator. So what's gonna happen? I'm gonna leave my wheelchair back in my room and climb down the stairs? Fuck that. That's why, for me, when I go travel, I make sure that my room is downstairs. Even though there's every floor has a disabled room, but for me as an individual person, I gotta have a ground floor apartment, a room.
I just stayed on the 8th floor of the Plaza Hotel, and I didn't even think about that. I was. That's funny because I didn't even think about that. I really just didn't. I was just grateful to have a accessible bathroom. I was like, wow, this. I like,
Well,
and
I mean, the thing is, if there was a hotel that is full and there's only ADA upstairs, I would use a regular bed, a regular hotel room. There's no way I would have a upstairs. Yeah,
yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know what you think about what's going on, especially with the political aspect of how this administration is doing what it's doing regarding to the 504, the crimes, and everything like that. This shit's fucking crazy.
I don't call all Trump supporters evil, carte blanche, because I know and love a lot of Trump supporters, and I'm not saying.
I live in an apartment complex where 90% of the people are Trump supporters.
When the orange one gets out of office, hopefully this is just a fad that when he gets out of office will lose political momentum. I'm afraid that it won't, but I hate to say it like that, and we shouldn't have to think about those things, but here we are.
Yeah.
So
I want everybody listening and watching, I want to let you know there's going to be a weekly item every Friday night at 9 p.m. We're going to be pretty much talking about what we're talking about today with different topics. And for those of you who are listening, if there's a topic or type of thing that you want to talk about, give it to us. My email is in my bio. You can contact me that way. Go to my website. I have MrWheels76.com. Check that out. I do have a merch store. Buy something from me. I do have a pay app as well if you want to kind of donate to the cause that we're doing right here. What is your website?
It's my website is just in the planning stages. It's up. It's dislabeldollydiva.com. However, go to my YouTube channel, search disabled Dolly Diva. It's disabled Dolly Diva. I am in the planning stages of that.
Okay.
Now I do have some merch. I also have an Etsy store and a blog, but it's got one T-shirt on it. And I also have a Redbubble shop. So if you go to my and I'm also an Amazon affiliate right now. So
Okay,
if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see what I do on YouTube, and you'll see all my stuff that you can support me. You can donate to my channel through PayPal, stuff like that. Are you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
Yeah, for those who are here, subscribe to my channel as well on YouTube. Find me on the same name. Subscribe to Damon as well. I really enjoyed the conversation tonight.
I also have an invisible disability known as ADHD, so hey. I really think this is going to be beneficial to both of our, shared missions. And Ryan and I have known each other for a long time. And next time I actually tell the story of how we met, because I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that'll be on the next episode. That'll be good.
Tune in. And yes, my name is actually Damien, and my pronouns are she, her.
And you guys know me already. I'm Ryan Talley, and I'm he, him. And I really enjoyed tonight. Thank you for joining me. And it is going to be a great, relationship. I'm excited for what we can come up with as a plan for the team together.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful. I think it'll be a beautiful brand marriage. In a way.
Subscribe to Substack, my YouTube, and TikTok, and subscribe to whatever that she has, YouTube, and everything.
Disabled Dolly Diva. Okay, I'm out. I'm gonna go get a drink.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yo, 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 yo.